Hey guys, it's Susan again, and today I'm going to teach you how to make a stamped bypass ring. Okay, this is going to be lots of fun. This is a metalworking project. We're going to actually take a piece of sterling silver and stamp it, like personalize it, with some initials and maybe some stuff on the inside. So to do that, you're going to need some tools and supplies. As always, we're going to have some basic pliers, just a flush cutter, and also a wrap and tap plier, which I've talked to you guys about before. And you're also going to need a flat nose plier, which I don't have here right now, but I'm gonna grab in just a second. As far as hammers are concerned, we're gonna have a heavy hammer to do our stamping. This is a brass mallet. Works great for this type of stuff. And we're going to use our chasing hammer for texturizing and flattening out our piece. And I'm also going to have my rawhide mallet handy just in case I need it. We're also going to use a ring mandrel to size our ring and a flat file to file the ends, because I'm going to kind of give it a spoon shape on the end. And so I want to file it really nice and smooth. Oh goodness, we're also going to need a bench block. And this little guy right here actually darkens in the letters after we make it. That's kind of an acrylic. And then I do have a couple different sets of letters and numbers here that I'm going to use to personalize my piece. And I think that's it. I've got a polishing cloth here and also some steel wool. And so as far as supplies are concerned, you're only going to need a piece of 16 gauge sheet. It's about 5 millimeters wide, and we're gonna cut it to about 3 inches. And if you like this video, don't forget to ring that bell so you can be notified of all of our new videos every week. Okay, so our first step is going to be to cut this little piece of metal in half. And it is 16 gauge, so it's not super thin, but what I usually do is I just score it with a flush cutter, like so. See how I just scored that right there? And then I just take my flat nose plier and I grab it and I just bend it back and forth right on that score mark, and it just breaks right in half. Pretty easy, right? Put one side piece off to the side. You can see I already kind of messed with this one, have a drill hole in it, so I'll have to figure out something else to do with that piece. And then I've just got my 3-inch piece that I'm going to use to make the bypass ring. So this is an example of the bypass ring that I made, where I've already got it stamped here with my husband's initials and a little heart. So first thing I'm going to do is I am going to hammer this out so that I have a little bit more area on the end to stamp into, and also some pretty texture. So I'm going to hammer the end. So see how that kind of splayed out just a little bit? And then I'm going to do same thing on the other side. And then I have to decide what kind of texture I want on my whole piece. So I could continue with that texture. And then if I want to, I can go kind of crazy. I could use my ball peen side and make some little bitty marks in it. Or I could even use, one of my favorite things to do is use my file and make some cut marks into it. That'll pick up patina later. And you can see I've got another ring on here where I've done that. See where I've actually cut it and picked up that patina, because this one I patinaed. So you can see how that kind of picks up a different look than this one. This one's just hammered. So now that I've got all that on there, I need to file the ends round. So I'm going to use a flat file. I'm just going to start filing that corner. And I'll be honest with you guys, this is faster if you have a rotary tool, but we don't have a rotary tool today, so we're going to learn the art of filing. And you can see I'm only going in one direction, like this. And that's because the file only cuts in one direction. So you can go back and forth if you want to, but you're not doing any work going the other way. And you guys are watching me turn this over, and the reason I'm doing it is because this is a really weird thing, but metal actually has a grain like wood, and if you try to go against the grain, your file will get stuck. And it's really frustrating, so I always just make sure to, if I feel it gets stuck, I just turn it so that I have a little bit better edge. All right, and I'm gonna do the same thing on this side. Okay, so that's pretty good right there. And then, okay, I'm gonna take a break just one sec. Now what I did was I grabbed some 400 grit sandpaper. I'm gonna go along the edges of this. And if you do not have polishing tools at home, like if you don't have a rotary tool or anything like that, you don't wanna just leave a rough file finish on the edge of your piece. So you're gonna wanna go just pick up some sandpaper. All the hardware stores have them. And you can see this one's been well used, but This is just 400 grit, and you probably want to get some 800 grit too. And if you get wet dry and you get some of these smaller, finer grits, you can get a pretty good polish on a piece of metal. All right, so there we go. That looks good to me, and it feels good. So I'm just feeling my edges, making sure nothing feels sharp. All right, so now I'm gonna go back onto my bench block, and now I promised you guys we'd make a stamped bypass ring, and like this one has my husband's initials and a heart. And so on this one, I'm not gonna go crazy. I'm just gonna put my initials, ST. All right, so here's the inside of my piece, and I could stamp like my birth date on the inside. You could also do like the latitude and longitude of where you were born or where you first met your husband or your boyfriend or girlfriend, anything like that. I have got on this one, I just have my anniversary date stamped on the inside. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's kind of like a little secret message. You can also put secret messages on the inside, like you can put be brave or hope or health or love or faith or anything like that on the inside, but make sure you do that now, because if you don't do it now, it's just not going to be there. And then the next step would be to stamp whatever you want on the outside. You could do symbols. I'm just gonna put my initials on here just to give you guys the idea of what happens. So I'm just gonna put that stamp right there in the center of that piece. And then I'm gonna take a heavy mallet. Okay, this is a brass mallet. This is very heavy. And I'm gonna hit it really hard one time. And I just have an S there. And then I'm gonna do the same thing with the T on the other side. And the trick is to get a good hard strike the first time, because if you try to go back in and redo that, you're always gonna miss. It's not pretty. So let's make sure we do it right the first time. And just make sure, like on these stamps, these are really good because they've got some markings on this side, so you always put your thumb on the mark. But some stamps don't have that, so I always double check before I stamp that I've got the letter, especially if I'm using letters or numbers, the right direction. And then I'm just gonna pop that right in the center, and I'm gonna hit that one time hard with my mallet, just like so. So see, I've got my S, and then I have my T on the other side. Okay, and then our final step, we're going to take some of this black acrylic and we're gonna put it into these lines and into that S and that T, so you'll be able to see it a lot better. But before I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and shape and form this using my mandrel and my wrap and tap plier. So I am going to start bending this around that center piece of my wrap and tap plier. And just bring that around like so. And I don't think I'm able to get it all the way down with the wrap and tap, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna keep pressing like so. So see, there's that S and that T right there. And this is a little bit small for me, so I'm gonna put it onto the ring mandrel. And I want this to be size 7 right now. And I like to wear these on my middle fingers, so I'm gonna make this a size 8. So I'm just gonna hit this I'm just gonna use the rawhide for now. And it should help it grow a little bit since it's open. Yep, so now that's on the 8. And I like to open them up a little bit, and I cannot do that with my fingers because this is some thick metal, so I'm just gonna use that plier. And then see how that kind of pops up just a little bit right there? I'm gonna try to hit that with the rawhide again and press that down. And if it doesn't go, then just take your chasing hammer and press it down. And I'm gonna turn that over and check the other side. There. Okay, so now you've got your basic ring made. See, it looks cute, right? And so I'm gonna use this. This is just an acrylic, almost like a paint pen. They call it a stamp enamel marker. And what this is gonna do is it's going to put a little bit of darkness down into the letters so they're a lot more obvious. So see how I just kind of cover the whole ring and cover that T. And I'm gonna do the top part first. And you really need to let it dry a little bit before you wipe it off where it doesn't stay down inside those letters. So now I'm just going to use my steel wool to take off some of this black here on the top. There we go. So see how those marks kind of came out, and see how the steel wool gave it a little bit more of a brushed finish. And also I mean, I like those little texture marks, those look good. So now I'll turn it over and do the same thing on the other side. And if it didn't get enough of the black in it, you can just reapply this stuff until you're happy. I hope you guys liked learning about how to make a stamped bypass ring. I thought it was lots of fun, and there's lots of different options that you can do with that piece. I actually use this as a base for some of my rings that I solder. So if you guys have watched some of our other videos about soldering, you can make things kind of like this ring I have here, where you can actually attach a top and put a stone on it. Kind of fun. You can also oxidize them and change them up and just do different textures, and it's just a lot of fun. There's lots of different things that you can do with these. But in order to get started, you're going to have a few metalworking tools. Remember, I used that wrap and tap plier, and I also used a flush cutter to score my metal and a flat nose plier to divide it in half. Then I used a couple different hammers. I used my large brass mallet to do the stamping, and I used a chasing hammer and a rawhide mallet to kind of shape my piece. And then as far as sizing was concerned, I used my ring mandrel, and then I also shaped it with my flat file and used the black acrylic pen to mark in my letters, and then the steel wool and some sandpaper. This is 400 grit sandpaper to finish my metal. And then the letters that I used today, I just used a basic alphabet set of stamps. I also have some numbers here that I could have used to stamp a date on the inside. And then I have a little symbol. This is a heart. You guys saw me wearing the one that had hearts on it. So I also have that. There's just so many different things you can do if you guys have some of these different supplies. Thanks so much for watching. If you guys would like to pick up some supplies like the ones we worked with today, check out the links down below. What would you write on the inside of your ring? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe and ring that bell, and we'll see you again next time.